Fusion Mobile, quality e-learning experience on the go.
Nationalism. When you hear about the word nationalism, what comes into your mind? Just as the word sounds, nationalism. From a nation will form nationalism. So what comes into your mind when you hear this? Okay, yes, that's good. It has to talk about a pride for a nation, okay? Unity for one's belief. Thank you. Nationalism may be defined as a certain form of unity which grows out of historical experience. It is the sense of oneness that emerges from social groups trying to control their destiny, environment, and to defend their interests against competing groups. It can be defined also as the strong emotional awareness of belonging to a state held in bondage by foreign domination, which leads to the struggle against such foreign rule and domination. That is the way nationalism is defined. Please write it down in your notes very precisely, just as I have defined it. We have the concept of proto-nationalism, which means nationalism before the Second World War. Remember that the Second World War came up between 1939 and 1945. So by proto-nationalism, we are talking about nationalism that existed before 1939. Listen very attentively. The exponents of the 19th century Nigerian nationalism were both the traditional rulers and the few elites in what later became Nigeria. They were generally referred to as traditional nationalists. These people were opposed to giving up their territories because they were denied respectable positions in their land or communities by reason of their race. Nationalism in the territory that later became Nigeria could be traced to the period before the British colonial rule or administration and the amalgamation of northern and southern Nigeria in 1914. There was an increasing resistance by the people to the British conquest and its intended domination. Hope you've gotten it clearly. That nationalism in Nigeria could be traced to the period before the amalgamation of northern and southern entities into what we have today as Nigeria. Remember, we are talking about nationalism before the Second World War. So what are the features of nationalism before Second World War? Number one, we have racial segregation. There was inherent discrimination against the natives, which was mostly witnessed in the 20th century in Nigeria. Such segregation was experienced in the area of maintaining separate residential areas for the whites, the provision of potable water supply, good housing, electricity, etc. for them. Number 2, Nigerians were not allowed to hold any leadership posts, and the highest they could attain was that of chief clerk. Number 3, there was economic oppression of Nigerians by foreign firms. Number 4, there was harsh treatment in that the colonial authority maltreated even the traditional rulers. Number 5, there was also lack of adequate educational facilities. The missionaries who were out to provide education, listening very carefully, did not achieve much due to financial problems. However, the essence of education at the time was not to produce a high-level manpower, but basic education that will help the recipients to be able to read and write. The impact of the First World War was much in the development of national and political consciousness, and this was due to movements like Pan-Africanism, which means the struggle for independence by countries. This movement started in London as far back as 1900, the Pan-African movement, which made educated Nigerians to become critical of the colonial rule and their policies, and thus they sought for independence and nationalism. Number 7, the mass media. The West African pilots, Lagos Daily News, etc. played vital roles in fighting colonial rule and domination in Nigeria. So these are some of the features of nationalism before the Second World War.